The idea was that you had an all-indigenous team, not mixed. In other words, they were all Cambodians, or they were all Vietnamese, hopefully with loyalty to each other, if nothing else. Cambodians were the best teams. They hated the Vietnamese. And you sometimes operate on that principle, you know, pick out the guy that's most angry and use him. These teams also had a dual mission of being a physical presence on the ground to support a psychological operation, which was called a notional program. There were no actual people on the ground in North Vietnam, but continuous radio transmissions and run by some very good PSYOPs people were creating that impression up north. The North was generally concerned that there were teams operating up there. There were enemy agents operating up there. But the only way you could validate it was you occasionally had to put somebody on the ground to be discovered by the enemy, in a sense, you know. For instance, a STRATA agent, a STRATA recon man nailing a flyer, a leaflet onto a wall, onto a tree, but in a place where the tree would be seen eventually, and maybe close enough to a village that they get concerned on the loyalty of the people in that village. You know, is there a meeting taking place? That sort of thing.
Was it quite frustrating when the missions were cancelled?
Well, when the overall mission was canceled, yes. We just, you know, when you're having success, you know, something like that, and from every headquarters up and down the line complained, you know, SACSA in Washington, SINCPAC and USERPAC, they were all saying, wait, whoa, it's working. When the war finally ended, okay, and when the peace talks were taking place, at that time, they were determining prisoners to be exchanged. We'll stop the war, you know, we'll allow you to do this and that. And some rather intense negotiations, I learned later. But at no time were these commandos that were missing mentioned. They just weren't there. You know, they had no one really to speak up for them because the programs were so highly classified. And those are the lads that spent 15, 20 years in prison in the North, even though the war was over, you know, the re-education programs were occurring in South Vietnam and so forth. But these guys were still languishing in bamboo jails up there, and many years before we could get them out.